Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Hour Tour of Football podcast. Sorry. Hour Tour of Football. Sonia, you made me laugh with your wave. Oh, Lisa, I got to talk to you about those Dolphins because, man, talk about getting in by the skin of your teeth. But here's we go. Everyone, welcome. This is the Hour Tour of Football podcast. I am Dana. That's Lisa. That's Kate. That's Sonia. The whole gang is here. We are super excited that you guys are all going to join us this week. Now, before we get into week 18, because I have a few things to talk about, just a few.
Only a few.
Just a couple. We are going to thank Donkey's Cheesesteaks, our sponsor for the season. You guys have seen all of our. Is that a towel? Oh, it's a shirt.
No, bandana.
Oh, a bandana.
She got all the good stuff.
She really did. She really
Rob
really
hooked
did.
her up, man.
Yeah.
So
Donkeys has been our sponsor for 2 years now. We have a great time with them. We of course post things all over, delicious pictures of cheesesteak. You can order them from Goldbelly. You can order their merch. So check them out if you would, please. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Week 18. We had a really bad game, Lisa. That was terrible. Terrible football game. We had a baffling but really good Titans and Jaguars game.
Yes.
We had the Seahawks barely beating a terrible Rams game. We had Green Bay completely fall apart. Oh my God. And the Lions. Sonia, if I had a second team, they are no longer the Bills. They are the damn Lions. Love that team. How crazy is that? Sonia, how crazy is it that they went from 1-7,
1-6,
8-2, 1-6 to 8-2? That's amazing.
That is so crazy, and it's been so awesome. But just like, wow, is this like it? Is this it? Did we make it?
What happened? What happened? I love that team now. I love their fight. I love what they have done. There was a great conversation that was had on Sirius XM NFL radio today, and it was about grit and how this team went from a whiny, gutless team, not my quote on the radio, whiny, gutless team, to a team who is going to fight to the death to get better. And they look like they're going nowhere but up.
Right?
I'm so impressed.
Me too. It's kind of interesting how it just took a couple games just to get it in there, and for Dan Campbell to just get his message across, and the guys all bought in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been amazing just to kind of watch, and just to kind of watch this team come up. It's been so much fun and just amazing just to watch. I love it.
Mm-hmm. They really have just figured out in this team. And I like that he's not backing off about Goff either. Lisa, you love a good quarterback. Jared Goff has just decided this is his team. He's not a bridge quarterback anymore. This is his team. I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah, and he was hot and cold, remember, in the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. And that was his MO. That's why the Rams parted way with him. He'd have a 345-yard game, 3 touchdowns. Next game, just where'd he go? So the matchups, that he was facing early in the season, he's winning some and he was losing some. But something happened midway with this team. And I just love with the Packers because the Lions, and I tell all the Seahawk fans this too. I said, because, a lot of Seahawks fans didn't have the Lions beating the Packers. They were like, hey, we're good. We're looking at picks. We're going to see where we fall. I mean, honestly, I don't think many kind of thought, because, the Packers are playing for the playoffs. But I'll tell you what, how fun is it for a team that's playing a team that's in the playoffs? They just want to beat them, just to knock them out, keep them out too. And that's a scary team to play. I hated us playing the Jets because it's like they have nothing to lose. 4th and 5, we're going for it. So those are scary teams. And what his quote was, where you guys aren't getting in. He goes, well, they're not getting in either. I just love that. I just like, oh my gosh. I mean, they legit punched him in the mouth, and they were like, you're not getting in because of
Right.
us. And I thought that was great. I thought it was a great game. And it was good football that day. Like you said, the Titans, we had a couple good games that mattered.
Right.
And of course we had some that didn't. But
yeah.
I thought it was great. And I was happy for Sonia. I thought it was great.
Oh my God, I was happy too. Not just happy because I'm a Seahawks fan and the Seahawks managed to squeak into the playoffs. I was happy for the Lions. Like, that's who I was excited for. But you know what else, Kate, didn't make me too sad? Aaron Rodgers gets to go home. And that doesn't make me feel too bad. I'm just going to say.
You're going to get no argument from me. I just want to send a shout out to the Miami Dolphins for winning their game and knocking Pittsburgh out since my Browns couldn't do it. Jay Sanders kicked that field goal while our game was still going on, and we were all celebrating like we won. We were just glad they got knocked out of the playoffs. So, and nothing but love for Jay Sanders. No, the Lions defense, I think, has really played a lot better. They've played a little bit more consistently than the offense has in this 8 to 10 week stretch. That has really, really done them a lot of good. And I think, Dana, you're right in that, or maybe it was Lisa, in that Jared Goff is owning this team. And Sonia, I think you're right in that Dan Campbell's message has finally, like, they're seeing the fruits of his message. Yes. They're doing what he said and they're winning, and winning fixes everything. Right. So this is a very dangerous team right now. And they put up 40 on Jacksonville earlier in the season, and they, and they let Minnesota put 40 on them. So it's like,
I know the consistency's not quite there.
I don't know, but
yeah.
So let me put a couple of comments up from our chat. So Detroit's turned around to their record to almost a wild card. Dan Campbell for Coach of the Year. We're going to talk about Coaches of the Year. I don't know that he'll make it, but I totally think that he should be in the conversation. We have Robin. She says such a gratifying game, and it really, really was. And then this is a really good point from Graham. Best thing the NFL did was have division games to end the season, and I agree.
Yes,
and the reason is because of that. That's the exact. First, you have the Titans and the Jaguars who are like, it was for the division. How fantastic is that? But then you turn around, and it's almost like that Lions Green Bay game, it becomes down to revenge, right? Like you just want that gut. I can't have it, nobody can, sort of a situation. And it just makes for good football. There was a lot of bad football. There really was.
And there's a lot of storylines, right, Dana? You just hit that right. Because with us, all day long is, well, the Bills have to beat the Patriots. I'm going to tell you right now, I had zero issue with the Buffalo Bills. There was no way the Bills were going to lose that game because of DeMar, right? Seriously, look at the storyline there. Look at the Lions with the Packers. We're not smacking them out. We're not going. They're not going. It was all about, storylines of these games, because it's like, wow.
And incentives. So many players got their incentives.
Understand. Bills, Kansas City, if they ended up playing each other, it's a neutral site for them to play. But Ravens, Bengals, if the Ravens had won, the Bengals would still win the division because they have a higher winning percentage.
Yes.
But Roger Goodell was on site to flip a coin to decide who would have home field for the playoffs. And I can't for the life of me understand why one gets a neutral site and one is flipping a coin.
I think it has to do with the way the playoffs are seeded this year. I don't know that both the Ravens and Cincy can go to the AFC Championship, like because of the way they're playing. Like I think at one point, like because they played this first game, one of them is going to lose. And so if those two teams can't go to the AFC Championship, if that was possible because they were different seeding, then I think they would have been included in that too. But because they play each other first, they can't go to the AFC Championship, which is what this is all about. And let me tell you, living in Kansas City, let me tell you how some pissed off people, they're like, you are going to take a home game away from us. I'm like, yes, because this was a weird situation. This was, not something that's going to happen again. We just had to deal. And it seemed pretty fair. I'm going to say, I thought it was pretty fair.
Because I like to do all the what ifs in my head.
Go for it.
If the Ravens had won and beaten Cincinnati, and then they had needed a coin toss, and then they had won the toss, they could have hosted the Bengals for that first game. And if they had won, they would have been on the road for the rest of the playoffs because of the way the seeding is, which means it would have been the first time in NFL history that a team had a home game and then didn't get to just keep playing at home when they won, right? Because when you're at home and you win, you keep staying at home. They would have played at home and then they would have had to go on the road. I'm glad none of it mattered. Cincinnati
they were third seed.
clearly wanted to take care of business.
They can play a home game and then go on the road.
Yeah, because they were third seed. So
they can play a home game, Kate, and then go on the road.
Yeah,
that has happened before. Yeah, you can play a home game and then go on the road.
It's weird,
depending on how that other seeding falls.
Yep, it's true. Yeah, it's
very weird.
It is, and it just has to do with the seeding, and it is.
I'm just glad it didn't matter because I didn't want to see Goodell throwing.
Yeah, because
coins.
this is the wild card round.
Yeah,
right. This is the wild card round. So yeah.
But I like having those division games the last week, but the problem is now I get to watch Cincinnati play the Bengals again.
Right.
Back to back.
Well, you get to watch Seattle play San Francisco again.
They said all these games were
a lot of them. We're going to see them again.
Every one of them. They said every one of them
are
rematches of repeats. Yep.
It is true. Yeah, let's look at these playoff games just a little bit, you guys. So let's see, Kate, when you look at the playoff schedule, when you look at wild card weekend, as we were just talking about, we know that there's Cincinnati and the Ravens. What other games, Kate, since this kind of your little segment, what else is intriguing to you about this wild card round?
I find Jacksonville very intriguing, and not just because it's that worst to first thing. They were the worst team in the league last year. And just what I've seen, we talked about Jared Goff earlier, but really what I've seen with Trevor Lawrence and the way he has owned this team and gotten through all of the craziness that has gone on with this team for the last couple of years, for them to be where they are now and making a playoff run and a legit play. I've got them winning this weekend. So they've got a legit chance to go deep and win some games in these playoffs. They're the most intriguing team to me for this weekend. I'm excited for that game. I'm trying to find.
What about you, Sonia? What game are you interested in?
I like that game. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I just kind of want to break from the NFC for a second. But I like Kate has said, like what Jacksonville is doing. And while I don't think they're going to win, I do think that they are going to give them a run for their money. And, it's kind of fun just to watch this team coming into its own, kind of like the Lions. And, people aren't giving them a chance and they're just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll still win and we'll still go out there and play and we're going to win. And, like Kate said, after what has gone on the last couple of years, it's nice to see. And Jacksonville fans, shout out for getting it right. I'm not buying the Chargers. I haven't been buying them all year. I'm not buying. I don't get a warm, fuzzy feeling when I think about them. I don't even know who wants to watch the Seahawks 49ers game because I just don't feel like that's going to be good.
No. No, that doesn't even hurt my feelings. Not at all. We were supposed to win 5 games all season. I don't even care at this point.
Who is this team?
We know, right?
We've got, so that's Saturday, right? So Saturday is Seahawks, Niners, Chargers, Jags. Then Sunday is Dolphins, Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Giants, Vikings, which I love. So you've got 2 division games. And then you've got Giants, Vikings, and I'm struggling to pick a winner in that one. And then Monday night's Cowboys, Buccaneers. And I know our friend Michelle loves the Cowboys, and I still am not a huge Brady fan, so I got nothing for Monday. But I do think the Giants, Viking one is the other game of the weekend that I will be glued to, and that I think will be very interesting from a matchup perspective. And watching that players that rested last weekend, you could talk about the Giants rested a ton of people. The Cowboys wanted to rest people, but they played so poorly he couldn't sit anybody because they couldn't figure out what they were doing. You like to roll into the playoffs on a streak.
A high note, yeah, right.
The Cowboys, I don't know, but Sorry, Graham. There's just something with the Giants this year. This Giants-Vikings game is going to make or break Kirk Cousins' career, frankly.
Yes.
Look how happy that makes me.
If
I
he
love it.
can't get past the Giants on wild card weekend, I don't care how many regular season wins they have. That's going to be a big thing for Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
True. Lisa, so let's talk about Bills Dolphins, because to be honest with you, I think they're like are they a 10-point favorite? Like,
well, it just depends on which spread you like and which.
Fair.
I mean, talk about flip of coins. It's almost flip a coin of which quarterback is going to start. Highly unlikely we'll see Tua. Bridgewater's just going to be depending on the thumb and whether he can grip the football. And to me, I honestly, I'd go back to the rookie. He gives you the best shot of winning. He's healthy. He got banged up a little bit, but just bumps and bruises from a game to where you got Bridgewater, where one hit could throw that finger right back into hurting. I don't see Tua getting cleared. I think they sit him for the rest of the year. That's just my, I'm almost like 75% chance that he's done for the year.
Yeah, I bet it's 90.
90 easily. So you're going to see, probably the rookie, and that's a high task. I mean, Buffalo is at a different level right now with everything that's happened in the situation. It's elevated. Stuff like that elevates teams. It brings teams together. It brings, communities together. So that stadium's going to be rocking. And, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see this kid at the game, or he'll be on the big screen before the game. It's going to be very emotional, and that's, like I said, storylines, and that's what we're going to have to deal with.
Buffalo this week, right?
Exactly. So I'm
he's still in the hospital, though. Still in the hospital. Hasn't been.
So I expect you'll probably see him on the big screen. Probably talking to fans or waving to fans. So they're going to get that emotional jacked up. So for a rookie quarterback to go into a hostile territory like that, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So
the two special teams play, man, running both of those back. God, that was so fun. I had a great time watching football this weekend. Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be interesting. You look at some of these. The funniest thing is, like, when you look at the schedule, the one, I mean, we talked about Cowboys Buccaneers, but no one's really talking about that game. And it's because I don't think anyone's all that excited about it. Like, they know whoever wins it, which, to be honest with you, the way the Cowboys have been playing, I don't know that it's going to be the Cowboys. Brady might be a pain in our butt for one more game. But then after that, I just don't know that they have the guts to fill. And I could be very wrong, because what I have said this forever, and I know you guys agree with me, the playoffs are a whole different ball game. Like, when you start with the playoffs,
especially for Brady,
it's
back for Tom.
Yes. And that's how it used to be for Rodgers. I think that's why I'm so surprised that they're not in it and that they played so poorly. I know Sonia and I are like, anyway, but I do find it interesting that game is the Monday night game, but no one's really talking about it. That people are just kind of ignoring it. Graham has put on there, Brady has never lost to Denver.
To Dallas?
Is
Dallas
true?
or Denver? Dallas or Denver?
Oh, wait, Dallas. Sorry. Dallas. Sorry. I have Denver on my mind because we're going to talk about their coach here in a minute. But that surprises me. I totally believe him, but that really surprises me because
that does too, actually.
He always has a tendency to look, I don't know.
That's a great stat, though.
In some games. It is a weird stat. It is interesting. So anyway, I think it'll be good. I think it's going to be an interesting wild card. I think we're going to get a couple surprises. I think that there's going to be a couple of teams that kind of shock the crap out of everyone. I am with a lot of people that this Vikings-Giants game, I think the Giants are going to come out.
Well,
Saquon Barkley's finally healthy, and has been for a whole season. It's been
Daniel Jones, different quarterback. And I have Brian DeBall as coach of the year. I'm sorry.
We're waiting on that. We're getting there.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead on my list.
You are. Don't get to the list yet. Funny. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good time. I'm excited for that. It'll be fun. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this week, Black Monday wasn't so black. It wasn't so sad. Like, normally when the coaches get fired, it's like a whole bloodbath, right? Or at least it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it was kind of, I don't want to say a letdown because people lost their jobs. It's not nice, right? Like we don't want to say that.
There was dancing in the street in Cleveland.
I know you were. We're going to let you talk about that here in a minute. But main 5, there's 5 head coaching vacancies right now. Obviously, a couple GM now. So we have the Indianapolis Colts. We have Arizona. We have Houston. Don't get me started about that. Holy makes me, don't even get me started. You have Carolina and you have Denver. So I did a little poll, you guys. I think it's fascinating that that so many people were giving me answer. I wanted to know who has, the most, who thinks it's the best job or whatever you want to say of the 5 head coaches. So I did a little poll today and I was a little surprised at the results because I didn't agree with them in any way, shape, or form. So in my poll, the number 1, and they were close. They're really close. People thought that Carolina was going to be the best situation for a new head coach at 33.5%. Denver right behind it at 32%. Indianapolis right behind that at 29%. Houston at 4%. And then the funny thing is I only got 1 vote for Arizona because I was like, they're done.
That's a mess.
That team is done.
Arizona's a mess.
Right. So people put Carolina as the number 1 spot. And we're going to talk about the people who are interviewing and that sort of thing first. But I want to get it from you. Sonia, I want to start with you. Of the 5 head coaching opportunities that are out there, which team do you think has probably the best situation for a new coach?
Honestly, I might have to say Denver. And, I know because
we'll all have our opinions, ladies.
Russell.
Because they got a new coach, right? Or, Nathan Hackett got fired. Russell Wilson all of a sudden came on. And, they kind of started playing and looking like a team that they could be. Right. So I think that if Russell has somebody that he can respect and, really trust and all that good stuff, I think the hardest part about Denver is going to be the lack of picks. And that, but that's going to just take some talent and some, some just good scouting prowess and stuff like that. But if they're able to be smart with it, I think that that's probably going to be the best spot. That's just my 2 cents.
Do you think, we've looked at the coaches that they are starting to interview. So Evil Harbaugh is one of them. And then, which has to make you a little sad. I know, because your Michigan will lose your head coach. Maybe. I still don't know that he's going to come back.
That's another story for another day.
I know, right? And then they've requested Dan Quinn. I know that, they have Sean Payton. They've requested Sean Payton. These are big personality coaches, right? These are big name making a splash. I know you guys don't know Russell Wilson as well as I do.
I do,
but yes, you do, because Lisa's loved Russell since the day he was drafted. But I'm fascinated to see those personalities with Russell Wilson's personalities. I'm not sure how that's going to be. Lisa, of all the 5 head coaches of the coaching opportunities, which one do you think is best?
You guys are going to be shocked. Okay, I'm going to shock you right here. I think the Arizona job, because let me explain why. Okay. Of all these coaches that they are interviewing, what has Harbaugh's number 1 thing been? He wants complete control.
True.
Arizona, you're going to have an opportunity to come in and have complete control. I think if you look at Jim Harbaugh, you look at the Arizona Cardinals, you look at that front office situation, that was one of the things down here in Miami that they couldn't come to terms with. Harbaugh wanted full control. I personally think Arizona is going to be very intriguing for a lot of coaches because I think they're going to have an opportunity to come in and have full control of personnel, picks, and stuff like that. So honestly, I'm going to go with the Cardinals with a lot of these coaches because I think they're going to want control. And a lot of these coaches that we're talking, Sean Payton, another one could have full control. Harbaugh, we already know, wants full control.
Yep.
Yeah, the GM step away. So to me personally, I think it's going to be the Cardinals.
Okay, I'm going to throw back the same situation to you that I did to Sonia. You have the shortest, smallest quarterback in the NFL who is constantly hurt and has a ridiculous contract.
Mhm.
How, I don't know that that's appealing, but maybe it could be, like you said, for someone who wants complete control, because the GM got fired, or sorry, he left for health reasons. No, he didn't. He got his ass fired. And so it's like, I think that could be appealing to some, but I don't know. That is a start over. They've already said they're going to start gutting this team. They're going to trade Hopkins. I'm like, I raised my hand for Buda Baker. Can I sign up for that one, please? That would be amazing. So, we'll see.
It'd be
what
like an
happens
auction.
then.
It's an
know,
auction.
right? I'll trade you. No, okay. Kate, what about you? Of the 5, I would love if all of us picked a different one. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm saddened that this team has an opening. I'm going to say the Houston Texans. Good.
Okay,
if you look at the quarterback situation for these 5 teams, I think the biggest mess with the most opportunity to correct it in this year's draft is the Texans. They pick 2nd, and thanks to my Browns, they pick 12. They can get a quarterback at 2, and then they're picking again some help or something for him at 12. These other teams have 1 pick in the top, and I'm picking 2nd. And I don't know that the Bears are taking a quarterback at 1. They might be interested in making a move and trading that pick. There's where the Cardinals come in at. What are they at, 3 or 4? They might flop picks and I don't know. I just feel like having those two picks that high gives a head coach coming in a real opportunity to add some quality to this team. We know with them offloading Deshaun in that contract that they've got plenty of room on the cap to sign people. And again, I'm sad that Lovey's not there. I think he got a raw deal with what he had to work with and what he had to go through this year. And that team was still fighting to the bitter end, to the end of that game Sunday. And it is not easy to keep a team together when you have that much crap going on and you've got with 3-12-1 or whatever they were at that point, to be fighting with the Colts down to a 1-point game. Like,
amazing.
It speaks a lot to me about the quality of that coach and what he was doing with them. And hopefully whatever's going on in that locker room will continue for whoever they bring in. I don't think it's a Sean Payton thing, because I don't think he wants to rebuild from the ground up. I could see him in Arizona having full control if they don't rebuild and they just smartly reload a little bit, because I don't think he wants to do the work of a rebuild.
Right.
So I don't see him.
But he'll have it. He'll have the thing. And here's my question, and on Houston for both of you guys, because it seems like you guys want Houston. Do you think him going for 2 points and winning the game cost him his job?
No, I don't know, because there had been rumors earlier in the week that they were not going to bring him back. And I think him going for 2 and losing his job was his
swan song.
Gotcha.
That's the nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
That's not what I was like. It was
like up yours, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and I loved every second of it. He's like, yeah, go ahead. And do you tell your team, by the way, we're getting the 1st round pick, so can everyone just not play and everyone just no, these guys are trying out for their team. They're trying out for other teams. They are looking for this. Let me tell you why I completely agree with you, Kate. I think Houston is fascinating. It is a crappy organization when you talk about the ownership. Complete crap. And if he's smart, he's going to let someone come over and kind of take over rebuilding, whoever they do this. But I think what they need to do, they have so much cap space. They have so many draft picks. They have the opportunity they already have a really good rookie running back. Their defense really started to play well. I think they've got a couple of building blocks. And so they need to give whoever this coach is a guaranteed minimum 3-year plan, which they did not do for Livy. They didn't do it for the guy before him. It was horrifying. They completely screwed Lovie Smith. And I hope he gets another chance somewhere else, because he deserves it. But what is interesting to me is that they don't want Sean Payton. They're not going to go after, Evil Harbaugh. They're not going to go after these big names. I could see Dan Quinn there, because he's not afraid of a challenge. But let me tell you, I think they're going to go after one of these OCs or DCs that are young and they're fun, and they're going to come in and just try and build it. And this is not going to be a next year thing. This is not going to be the year after that. But you get into your 2nd or 3rd year with a rookie quarterback, oh my God, it could be amazing. And I am all in with these players, and they were so pissed that Lovey was gone. I think it's going to be really interesting. The funny thing is, if you look at most online places and the different areas, they're all saying that it's, it's Carolina. It's Carolina. It's Carolina. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it Carolina?
Why?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were competitive in a crappy division this year. They don't know what they're going to do with their quarterback situation.
Is a nice might word.
I think their defense was defense. I didn't even look up the stats because the team doesn't mean anything for me. It's not missing 1 to 2 pieces. This is going to be also another team that if they're not careful, they're going to end up mediocre for the next 5 years, and they have to find a few more. So that's
They
my
traded away Christian McCaffrey.
They were, I think, yeah. Now,
I don't know if you want to work for an organization that makes those kind of decisions.
Right. It was fascinating to me. So yeah, I'm really excited to see kind of where this goes to. And I don't know that they're done. I am not convinced that Mike McCarthy still has his job if they go one and done in the playoffs in Dallas.
And we still have the Rams up in the air too. We still have the Rams whole situation.
He's going to milk that situation and then turn around and be like, "Oh, I guess I'll stay." Oh God. And at one point in the offseason, we're going to talk about how Sean McVay is not the offensive genius everyone thinks he is. Hello, look at their quarterback. So that'll be an off topic for offseason for sure. All right. Yes, Robin. That is what I've always called
Evil Harbaugh.
Evil Harbaugh. All right.
Okay. He's fun in the league. I hope he comes back. I know
too.
Sonya doesn't want to lose it, but I think the NFL needs him right now. I think it'd be a fun
only thing that I'll say about that is that was my hesitation when he became Michigan's head coach. I was like, every year we're going to have to talk about this. There's always going to be that temptation that he's going to go.
But I think this is the year he does it. I really do. I think with the ongoing investigation now, I think he's going to bolt. I think if
they'd have gotten to the championship game last night, I think
he would have stayed. Yeah.
It might have been different. I don't even want to talk about that, whatever that was. All I will say is that Sonia and I have teams that were better football to watch 2 weeks ago.
Those were the championship games
last night.
Those were the
shame on the college football committee for not seeding them correctly.
Right.
Because Buckeyes and Michigan should have played each other 2 weeks ago because either one of them would have given Georgia a better game.
Yeah, exactly. Alabama would have given Georgia a better game.
We're going to talk more about college ball when we get to the draft.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, yes, we will. All right. So the interesting thing, we're going to go on the opposite spectrum now. So we talked about coaches that are being replaced. What about coaches who have been rock stars this year? Sonia, I know we've talked about coaches of the year, and we've talked about it a little bit earlier in the season, but let me tell you, I think there are so many options for coach of the year now. It's baffling to me.
It is. So when I thought about that, when I was talking about coaches of the year, I was kind of thinking Brian Dable. I was thinking Doug Peterson, for sure. Doug Peterson, because
he threw his name quick.
Huh?
He threw his name in there quick this past couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. And I think that he is very much so deserving of it. You can't really say Pete Carroll, but kind of Pete Carroll, just a smidgy, just because of what he's done with Geno Smith and can I say, and this is just me being a little sappy for a second, when Geno hugged the Seahawk mascot, I was like, oh.
I know.
It was just so sweet. It was. I got some tears.
Oh my God, you guys.
I know. I love listen. I love that we made the playoffs just to piss Lisa off more than anything. She doesn't like Geno Smith. Well, I'm sorry, my quarterback's better than your quarterback, Lisa. So that's the way it is.
Yes. And he stays healthy.
He does.
He does stay healthy. He did stay healthy. So I think, and you could have said Dan Campbell he kept it going all season, but I think, his slow start was definitely hampered him. But for sure, had he, kept it up, I think he for sure would have been in that conversation. So, well, I would love to. I don't think so. And you kind of maybe could say Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia. Because they are,
he's the odds-on favorite.
Exactly.
To win it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's not what I saw today, but it changes almost every day. Like
it does.
Almost every day.
I heard that it was between pretty much him and Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan. It was either up to Because see, that's what I said. What is coach of the year to my idea is like Brian DeBall, who turned the Giants around.
Yep.
What are other people's idea of coach of the year? Taking the Eagles.
See, that's why I like Dan Campbell. Because in the midpoint of the season, when we were talking about this, we were throwing out names like Robert Saleh and looked at what happened to the Jets the second half of the year. If that takes him out, then we need to go back to Doug Peterson and Dan Campbell, who got off to slow starts, but managed to get things rolling and turned around, and look at how good those teams were at the end of the year. And they weren't big. We didn't sign big free agents that turned that team around. It was that coach working with that same crew and surviving the injuries and everything else. I agree that Dan Campbell's probably not in the running, but I just don't like Brian Daboll. That's all I have.
It's just a criteria to me.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I don't like him. That's why Dan Campbell's my favorite.
Right. I agree with you. It just kind of depends on how the voters will see it. And it is somewhat of a popularity contest. It definitely is when it comes to GM, because in my opinion, John Schneider should be GM of the year, trading away for your franchise quarterback and still making the playoffs. Like, I just think that that's amazing. But I find what I discovered when I was really looking into this is there's a lot of Brian Daboll just because he has turned Daniel Jones around.
Yeah,
exactly. Saquon Barkley,
that's the criteria for me.
And been consistent throughout the season. Here's my thing. I love Pete Carroll too. I think Pete is an amazing coach, but they did have that 6-game slump, but he couldn't get them out. Had they been somewhat consistent throughout the season, I think that would have been, but then you look at, what he did with the rookies. Well, if you say that, then you have to consider the Jets. And there's so many now.
When did they vote?
That I think it comes out on the ESPN. Well, it depends on what, like PFF and all those have all their individuals, but I think that the NFL honors does come. It's the day before, isn't it? The day or two before the Super Bowl, so that's when that will come out. Here's the thing with
Doug Peterson's votes depend on how the Jags do in the playoffs.
This is the one I got, Dana.
If they vote at the end of the season,
yeah. Go ahead, Lisa.
Because right now it has the NFL Coach of the Year odds. The favorite is Nick. Second's Kyle. Doug's third, and then Brian Daboll, followed by Dan Campbell.
Interesting. So, I think what's the other thing too with Shanahan, I get it. They've continued to win with Brock Purdy, but I don't know that because they've only had those for just a few short games that will overtake the whole season. Yes, they have managed to survive now into their third quarterback, but at the same time, I think that I don't know. It'll just be interesting to see how they kind of vote. I really hope. I like Daboll enough, and I think that he's done a lot. I think he's done the most with the least, to be quite honest with you. And and not that Peterson hasn't. And I love Dan. Yeah, we'll have to see. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. From.
Yeah, Shanahan's not on my list. We thought the 49ers would be good when the season started, and guess what? The 49ers were good.
Right. Yeah, they were exactly what we thought they would be. Right. There's no surprise there.
Yeah.
All right. So Lisa has been asking
I think Purdy's a little bit of a surprise. You don't?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
He's a rookie.
I know, but would you expect him to be doing as good as he's doing?
Wait, no. Lisa, he is a rookie quarterback with the best defense in football. That is what he is doing.
Yeah, but nobody's got film on him.
Nobody's got film on him. It's hard for defenses to handle him.
We'll see.
That'll change.
All right.
It'll be interesting come the offseason when they have both Trey Lance.
Sonia's feeling me.
I am.
Okay.
So Lisa has been wanting to talk about this topic for 2 weeks. Lisa's got to burn her panties. She's a little worked up.
Quarterbacks or kickers?
She's mad, other than kickers, which is normally her traditional one. All right, Lisa, talk to me about why players get to leave their teams early. Pissed you off.
Thank you. Why? We got quarterbacks hugging mascots. We got players that get benched. It's just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to be there. Cleveland, Clowney said a couple things like, I don't think this team is in my future. Okay, bye bye. There's the door. I mean, 10 years ago, you would have never heard of a quarterback who got benched walking out the front door because he's a whiny baby. Okay, Mariota got benched. All of a sudden, my knee hurts. I'm going to have surgery. He's out. That started the whole thing. And then we got Derek Carr, who was the next coming. Remember at the beginning of the year, it was the Raiders, Carr. Then that just went right down the tubes when they benched him. I mean, honestly, have you got it reminds me of college football. We got all the protocols, people going here, kids going here. Now the NFL is just following suit. It's like, okay, well, if I'm not in your cards, and it's like, okay, I see some of it, okay, but this is a team. Stand by your damn team to the end of the year. I mean, I have no respect for anybody that walks out the door. I'm sorry. To me, you've been with this team. These are, they're supposed to be families, supposed to be teammates. Look at the shit that happened in Buffalo.
Right.
I mean, these are teammates. These are,
yeah.
I know it's different, but
well, what happened with DeMar is terrible.
Right.
It's also
they came together, but they're still a team.
From the standpoint of it brought all the emotion from over $8 million donated to his charity. It's one of the response to what happened to him is one of the good things in football, to see people from multiple teams praying for him. And that's one of the good things. When I argue about football players who don't go to the bowl games, I get told it's a business. They're looking out for number one. They have to take care of themselves. I said, if I ran a team, I wouldn't draft someone that I couldn't trust to be with my team all the way through week 17 when we had only won one game.
Right.
Like, I want that. But I keep getting told it's a business and that I'm thinking with my heart because I'm a girl. But I think there are character things that play into this. And at the end of the day, talent will overshadow any kind of crazy, any kind of off the field legal issues, any kind of, I walked out on my last team. People, Greg Hardy had a job in the NFL after Deshaun Watson's my quarterback. These, as long as you have talent, someone else will sign Jadeveon Clowney. And I don't disagree with a single thing he said. I disagree with the fact that he said it. He should have kept his mouth shut. We all knew Joe Woods was going to be gone at the end of the season. We understood that our defensive coordinator was not doing Clowney any favors and was putting Myles Garrett in favorable matchups to get him sacks. But he was getting the sacks.
But don't you think this is now going to start a trend with players that are like, well, all I have to do is say I don't want to play, and then I'm just going to be able to go out the door.
It is, but until the repercussion of that is another team won't sign you, they're going to keep doing it. And as long as they can play, someone else will sign them. There is no punishment. There's no punishment.
You are both right, I think, in the fact that, this is a team. We saw the great response about, Hamlin. We saw all the Seahawks fans who donated to the Lions charity. Like, that is the best part of football. But it is a business to a certain extent. Now, here I want to defend Carr for just a minute in the Raiders. He was told he was not going to play anymore. He said, "Who are you giving this room to?" They said, whoever they gave it to. I can't remember the kid's name now. And
Sturman.
I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
Stidham. Yes, thank you. And so he said, well, I don't want to be a distraction, so I'm just going to go home. And they said yes. I think that is different, in my opinion, than a player just saying.
I still see you had friends on that team.
Yeah, but at least it wasn't his idea. It was their idea. They didn't want him there.
He just said, I don't want to be.
But if they just said, I think Derek Carr, character-wise, if they just said, no, we want you in the room. If he says, I'm afraid I'm going to be a distraction, and they go, okay, see ya, then I'm going home. Yeah. They could have said, no, we'd like you to stay here and be here. And I think Carr would have then said, okay, and he would have stayed.
I think so too.
Because I think you're right, Dana. He's the one exception to all these other dudes.
It is a little interesting that, it used to be one player, like Rivas would hold out or somebody, there's always just one player, but it does seem to be
or something.
Yeah, but it does seem to be quite a few this year. I'm going to ask Sonia this. Do you think that this, to certain teams, because we all know that there's teams desperate, if they're desperate enough, they don't care what you've done, just like Kate said. But do you think there's teams who'll go, I think we're going to pass on that? Because I will tell you that the Seahawks did not re-sign Clowney, and it was for a reason. I guarantee you it was for a reason. That is not Pete Carroll's player. Do you know what I mean? So I think certain coaches, Belichick, Carroll, probably, Tomlin, these guys who've been around for a while, they don't seem as likely to pick him up if they act like that. He's going to end up with some rookie HC.
Right. No, I agree. I think that, there are certain teams and certain coaches that would be like, nah, I don't think so. I really
Yeah.
don't think so. And that's fine. That's their prerogative. And players should know that that could be a possibility. And if they're okay with it, then fine, go ahead, walk
Mhm.
out. Do I agree with it? In some cases, Derek Carr's situation, yeah, if you don't want me here and you guys don't want me in the room, then I'm out. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be a distraction.
Mhm.
I know when I'm
I
not
just-
wanted,
I
I'm
just,
done. I mean, I get that.
it drives me crazy because your quarterback is your freaking leader. That
Well,
is
they didn't want him to
told
lead
me
anymore.
not to lead.
You know?
And if
Ugh.
you tell me not to lead, I'm out.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, it's really interesting. It is, and I do think that there is something to be said about the turning college ball now that they're making money, that they can enter the portal, they can move between different schools really easily. Different scenario. So that means that it's ingrained at a very young age. And so I don't think we're going to see the one player for one team forever. Not that we see that much anymore,
Right.
but you do see it occasionally, but not. I just think that that's gone now, that this is a business. They realize that. And to be honest with you, as fast as these coaches change over sometimes, holy cow, I don't really necessarily think that I blame them for that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm so excited for this off season. I know that Seattle still, I'm excited for the one playoff game we're going to get to play, but I'm just telling you that I'm so excited for this off season because I think this year there's going to be a lot of stirring. There's going to be a lot of changing around. I think there's going to be a lot of players moving around. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the draft. I think that there's going to be a lot of changes, not even just with coaches, but with players, with general managers. I think it's going to be really interesting. There are years where you feel like, oh, we're just going to head into another season. That's not what this year feels like already.
Well,
and I think interesting.
Dana, I think also, and Kate and Sonia, we have so many. This is going to be a great draft. We have a lot of good players
because everyone's coming to Kansas City. So come on, come to Kansas City.
This is going to be a great draft. We've got quarterbacks. We've got pretty much the whole Georgia defense who declared for the draft. So I mean, we got the big Michigan boys coming out. We got Ohio State's quarterback that's going to make a splash. I mean, this is going to be a good draft. And I think
you should know my quarterback's name, Lisa.
CJ Stroud.
I don't even know. I know. I've got so much to learn. All right, everyone. That is our show for this week. Thanks for hanging out a little late with us. I know we went a little over. We always go. But we just can't help it when the four of us together. And you should see it when all four of us are in the same room. It's even worse. So
we gotta do the draft live. Like we have to have a live look at the four of us at your house for the draft.
Crazy.
Yep.
We'll do a pay-per-view.
Right. So we will be back again next Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday. We're even here every Tuesday through the off season. Like you can't get rid of us. That's just how we are. So we hope that you join us again next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, because I'm sure these wild card games are going to give us something to talk about. All right, everyone, have a good night.